hope nobody's calling me. No. Smart news. Cruz, what time is Facebook set for? 6:01? Cruz. Oh. Cruz. Cruz.
What time is the Facebook set up?
Oh, it didn't come on yet. I have everything on. I'm just ready. I wanted to start the video, but I didn't see it come out yet. I'm actually on.
Yeah, no, I see it. It pops up on my watch when you're about to come out. You're already on Periscope.
Oh.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.
Greetings. You are tuned into BlackWestchester.com presents the People Before Politics radio show. We're on at 6 to 8 every Sunday on InTheMixRadio.com, giving you that real talk for the community since 2014. I want to welcome everybody who is on, who's tuned in. I'm trying to do some stuff on the fly real quick. We have a special guest going to be in the house this week. State Senate Alexandria Biaggi is going to be is coming on this week. Going to be on the show this week. Talking about her first year. She was on before she got elected. This is her first appearance since she's been elected. So we're going to have her on a little later. Before I get started, though, I do want to say a couple of things real quick. So I want to give a real big shout out to the Mount Vernon Public Library. They honored me and 5 other people at their spring open house. I was honored and humbled to be considered amongst those that they decided to honor. I was very involved when the Westchester library system tried to remove the Central Library status from the Mount Vernon Library, and I covered it. One of the first few members of the press that actually came out and covered it. I supported the whole everything they did, and they remained. They ended up keeping their library status. I think those people, when they saw that meeting, it was like, we've never had this many people show up at a meeting. Bob, the room was crazy. Like they never seen. I think they were saying they never seen that many black people too. But they was like they never seen that many people show up at one of their meetings. Like we filled that place up, and they planned on voting that day to remove it. And because we all showed up, and you had people like Ruth Hassel Thompson showed up, Lyndon Williams. You had several people, community lead people. Yeah, everybody came through. It was a beautiful thing. So. So I wanted to shout them out. They also honored Brenda L. Crump, and we don't have to tell you her service to the community, her dedication to the community, to student advocacy. If she's down with you, she's down with you. She will rock with you. It's one of the things I respect about her. And she went all out for the library as well. So I just wanted to give them a shout out. And real quick, so they presented me this plaque, which I greatly appreciate. It was a beautiful thing. So I wanted to shout them out. Also this week we had the yesterday, as a matter of fact, they had the Save Mount Vernon rally, a rally for justice for all of the family members of unsolved homicides in Mount Vernon. This is shout out to Jesse Van Loo, who's been holding down this with Latif Khalil. But Jesse has been he's been on the show talking about it and everything. He has been very active in that. And he's just in the cat who used to work for the library. Actually, used to work for the library for years. He never really used to get involved, but he just could not stay quiet. And it's good to see. Me and Damon always say we need to see more people come out and express their disappointment with local government. If that's what it is, they need to come up and speak up. And he has taken that mantle, and he is unapologetic, and he will come out, and he's running this. It was, I don't know how the turnout was, because I know Damon and myself and Bob, actually, none of us for 3 different reasons could make it this time, but we've been to every other one. But he didn't let that stop him. I think Council President Andre Wallace spoke. I think mayoral candidate Sean Patterson Howard spoke, and Nas Duncan. If you've seen her, she was on the show recently with the Mother Support Group. You know her story. And I don't know who else. And Jesse, of course, Jesse spoke as always. So I'm gonna try to find I was trying to find a video before I got on the show because I wanted to play a little piece of that, but I wasn't there yesterday to shoot it, and I'm not sure who posted it live on their Facebook page. But when I find it, I'm gonna put it in anybody listening, if you remember, if you know where it is on Facebook, just put the link to it in the comment section so everybody can check it. But what they're doing, what he's doing is great work, and I encourage everybody to come out and support. And it's the type of thing where you don't need to wait for this tragedy that these families are going through to hit your doorstep to speak out. Most of us don't speak out until it happens to us, and then we're all in. We need to challenge. We need to be there with them and for their journey for justice. So I just wanted to shout them out. Shout out to Alita Johnson. She said, I'm watching, listening, looking well, AJ. Thank you very much. Cheryl Brown Lee, Richard G. Davis, DJ Nesto from Virginia, Cicely Greaves, D. Wilson, Richard said, congratulations, AJ. Donna said, even watching from my hospital bed. Now that's dedication. Yes. Shout out to Donna. Our prayers are with you. How are you doing? I haven't had a chance to call you or anything, but how are you doing? And yes, thank you for tuning in, even in the hospital. I greatly appreciate that. But as I said, our prayers are with you. Alita Johnson said, well deserved, congratulations, thank you. D. Wilson said, good evening, AJ Wilson, people before politics, blessings to everyone. Alita said, well deserved, congratulations. Cicely Greaves said, greetings and best wishes on all your achievements now and always. Shout out to Michael Holt, tuned in. D. Wilson.
Hold on.
Oh, Yo. Okay, so you just wanted to see you don't always tune in, Mike. You just wanted to see if I remembered that it was your birthday. Happy birthday, Michael Holt. Bob. I'm put Bob on the screen in a minute. This is my little intro, but we coming to see you later. So happy birthday, Michael Holt. That's my dude. Mount Vernon firefighter, real dude, definitely a real dude. Love that dude. So shout out to Michael Ho, happy birthday. D. Wilson said congratulations to you once again. AJ is definitely well deserved. I'm proud of you. Shanice Coleman tuned in. Shout out to Judge Adrian Armstrong. Judge Armstrong. So sometimes you don't hear what people in the street are saying, and I have not actually seen you in action. But I've heard on numerous occasions from numerous people that they are glad that they were in your courtroom, and the way that you handle justice is definitely fair. And I've been hearing a lot of great things about you, and I wanted to give you a shout out. So shout out to Judge Armstrong, who's also, I believe, a member of my church, Greater Centennial. But shout out to him for all the work, and shout out to also, I hear good things about Judge Armstrong and Judge Johnson. I've also heard a lot of good things about Judge Nichelle Johnson too. So it's good that we have some people on the bench that, a lot of times we have people on the bench don't have our people's interests. They don't care about us, basically, and that's the best way to put it. So it's good to have somebody that is care. They're fair, and they're going to give you the justice you deserve if you deserve justice, but they're fair. And I just wanted to give them a shout. Usually judges don't get shout outs, so shout out to Judge Armstrong and Judge Nichelle Johnson. Shout out to Tracy Cates, tuned in. Richard said, I'll be back a little. Okay, he's tuned out for a minute. He'll be back. Shout out to Don Starchild Moore, always tuned in. Donna Nolan, D. Wilson said, get well soon. Shout out to Sue Shepard from Central Islip, Long Island. Definitely somebody I know from back in the days, back in the JVC days, back in when I lived out in Central Islip. Shout out to the whole Central Islip crew, everybody from CI. You know what I'm saying? So always representing. I'm Mount Vernon, born in Mount Vernon, but I spent considerable years in Central Islip too. So I always have to rep Central Islip. Mike Holt said, AJ, what's up, my dude? Happy birthday again to you. Donna said, thank you to D. John Jones is on. Chris Breezy's on. Donna said she's hanging in. Shout to the Future Society. Shout out to Kenneth Chamberlain Jr. Prayers still with you, my brother. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate you. The video. Okay. Shout. Tracy said hi all. Shout out to Omi Medina. Shout out to happy birthday. No, it's not my birthday. It's not my birthday, John. My birthday was February 5th. I appreciate it. My birthday was February 5th. I turned 53 February 5th. So yeah, I appreciate that. No, I think everybody's told. I just received the Mount Vernon Public Library honored me and 5 other individuals Thursday night. Dr. Bob was in the house. Shout out to Sabomi McCauley, running for City Council, Yonkers, District 3. She's tuned in. D said, yes, indeed, Judge Armstrong sets them ADA straight, too. My grandson was before him, and he truly was interested in him and helped him. He will have you laughing until you nearly pee on yourself. Okay. He's one character. He never forgot where he came from. Yeah, I've heard that he's been fair to a lot of people, and I just wanted to shout that out because that's not always our story with our experience with courts in the black community. So, John said, my bad, I missed the February 5th shout out. Don Powell, if you're listening to me, just called. I can't talk right now. So, I just want to shout to Marvin Church. There's been so much going on this week. I just want to say this as well before I forget. I forgot to say it last week. I talked to Westchester Board of Elections chairman, Democratic chairman Reggie Lafayette this week. Officially, no one has been told that they're on the ballot, and officially, no one has been told that they're off the ballot yet. Now, I guess a lot of people assume, if you haven't been challenged, it is too late to challenge you. A lot of people ask me, the people that have not been challenged in the Mount Vernon mayor race were Richard Thomas, Sean Patterson Howard, Clive Isley, and Andre Wallace. Those four will most likely appear on the ballot because there was no challenges against them. The other candidates, I guess, must have had challenges. But, everybody's been talking about I'm officially on the ballot, or with being told that people are officially not on the ballot. Those things have to be settled in court, I guess, and they will be as soon as possible. So I just wanted to say that because everybody's always talking about Tracy Cates. Yes, he is. Yes, he has. A lot of people have been saying that, Tracy. So I wanted to say that real quick, and thank you, D, for posting the video. I'm gonna probably try later on the show, show a little piece of it, if I can. But what we're going to get into our guest. She is in the building for the first time since she has won the race. Some people have called her the Klein Slayer because she cut the head off the IDC snake. She is the one and only Senator Alexandria Biaggi in the place to be. Please come into the studio. Because she cut the head off the IDC snake. She is the one and only. How are you? In the place to be. I am great. I am glad to have you here. Yes. Yes. And that's the first time. I saw you at the town hall, and pull your mic close to you. You can do any social media you want on your computer in front of you. But I wanted to congratulate you on a job well done at the town hall forum.
Thank you.
You and
David Tubiolo.
I can never pronounce his last
right.
name, and I'm glad you bailed.
Well, let me tell you.
You were in good company on Wednesday, right?
Yeah. Because they was messing his name up. Everybody was messing him up.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's okay. Everyone does that.
But I now this is not a shot against some of your comrades, but the district you represent is in Fleetwood, part of Mount Vernon.
Yes.
I would like to see, and this is me saying that, not you.
Yes.
I would like to see something of what we saw for the South Side, which would be Jamal Bailey as the state senator and legislator Lyndon Williams. I would like to see. I believe we need something like that. Again, it's not to call them out, and I'm not. You're not saying this. I'm saying this. We definitely need that. But it was good that the residents. Anytime the residents have questions and the elected officials are there and give them realistic answers, don't promise them the world, don't tell them what they want to hear. And there was a few things you didn't know, and you was like, I don't know, but you give me your number. You give me I will make sure we get back to you. You didn't try to blow nobody else. So I thought it was very good. And that was the first time I've seen you live since you've been elected. I've seen you clips on from your various things that you helped put, and you're definitely making a name for yourself. And I was just telling Dominique, because I was just telling Dominique, I've watched you grow from that time that I first met you on the rooftop at Maggie's.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I've watched you.
Thank you. That is the goal. That's the goal, and that should be the goal always, right? Like you should want to become a better version of yourself. And I don't know everything, and I'm not going to pretend like I do.
Right.
And I ask a lot of questions.
Right.
All the time.
Right.
But that's what we got.
Did you just not? Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I wasn't trying.
So yes. So welcome back to People Before Politics. I know that you have a limited time here, so what I really wanted, I wanted you to talk people, and I've invited Jamal Bailey, and hopefully we have him on soon too. I wanted, and the Senator Stewart Cousins been here now that she's the majority leader, and George Latimer now. So people come when they run, but there's once they get the seat, now it'd be nice to address the people.
You have to continue.
What now that that you've won? What do you plan on doing? What have you done so far? And I wanted to give you a chance to people to hear from you.
Thank you so much for saying that. And also, one of the things that is so clear to me that I want to make sure that I do and that I don't repeat previous patterns of just like the way that politics always is, right? It's like that same old way of being.
I know you don't need to, but just pull it
sure,
right to you.
Yes.
I want to make sure everybody hears you.
You got it. Yeah. So, I'm not interested, and I did not sign up to do this, to do politics as usual. Right. And I think that every single day that I wake up and every decision that I make and even the words that I use that come out of my mouth, I'm thinking about how do we move from a place of transactional politics into transformational politics. And I cannot talk about this enough.
Now, what does that mean for the layperson?
So transactional politics, it's like what we all hate about the political system. It's like, hey, I'm going to do this thing for you, but let me tell you something. When I need that thing done over there, I'm going to call you up. We should not be doing things because we need something from someone or because then it gives us leverage over somebody else or it makes us more powerful in that moment. We should be doing things because the people who put us in that seat expect us to do the most good all of the time. And that means sometimes being a little bit politically courageous. It means sometimes saying things that make other people uncomfortable, but the good kind of uncomfortable where it sparks growth and makes people think about it differently. And really looking at how do we make decisions and break down old systems instead of perpetuating old ways of being. And now that, again, I have to be really clear for anyone who's listening who's like, what doesn't care about tradition? I care about tradition in a significant way. And I care about the people who have been there because those are the people I learn the most from every single day. I mean, I can't do my job without asking questions in the room about process and procedure and how did it go last year and what happened 10 years ago and what do you think about doing it like this? However, there are little ways that we can change dynamics, and I can give you a perfect example of something I'm incredibly proud of that we've done, which is criminal justice reform.
Yes.
Okay? I've said it from the beginning, I'll say it now, and I campaigned on this too. So the criminal justice system has predominantly been created by white people. That's just a reality. There's nothing controversial about that. And we had an opportunity, right, to actually. It's true.
No, it is. It is. I agree. That's very basic.
It's very basic. And so, like, we have an opportunity. We had an opportunity this year, and we did it. And we had an opportunity to inform and change this criminal justice system in a way that would not only allow for all people's voices to be heard, because we do have one of the most diverse bodies, but to have a champion of criminal justice reform, which is Senator Bailey, changing these laws and making sure that it actually accurately reflects what the people want. That is so, it's so remarkable because in order to get to that change, you have to have those hard conversations. And I don't think that anybody, and I mean quote unquote body, not like literal person, is used to doing that. I think that political systems across this country, state, local, federal, are very much used to go along to get along, get in line, raise your hand when you want to be spoken to, or like, oh, did you raise enough money for this thing? Now you can be a leader of this thing. Enough. And the people who put us in these seats are awake, and now it's our responsibility to keep them there and to keep the people engaged and excited about what we're doing. And that's why showing up in Fleetwood is one of those ways. So making sure that we hit all the points of our district, but then encourage them to do the same thing.
Well, I wanted to say one thing about Fleetwood. What I appreciate, you and the person who's the head of the Fleetwood Neighborhood Association.
Yes.
Even though this wasn't, the thing that was mentioned wasn't in your district.
That's right.
When the MTA came up, he brought up one of our major problems is the bridges over New Haven, which is on the south side, which would be Jamal Bailey's district.
That's right.
And they said, if you look into it while you're talking to them, can you get that discussion going? And you agreed to it, and that's not even your district.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And I mean, for all of us on the south side and for all of us that haven't been able to drive over the bridges, and some walk over some of the bridges, for over a decade, there are young people that have never seen that bridge open.
Which is crazy.
I appreciate you even looking into
Thank you for saying that. And also, I just want to do a follow-up to that, which is that in the budget, I believe Senator Bailey was able to secure funds for those bridges, which is, like, awesome.
That's
right? So now we have to hold the MTA accountable, which we all know is a body that nobody trusts, including myself. They have a long way to go to get our public trust back. Full stop. Right? But there's money there to fix it, so, like, that's a good thing. But to the question about what have we done so far and, like, where are we going? So because we were able to flip the Senate blue, we've been able to unblock legislation that's been blocked for 10 plus years. And those were basic things 10 years ago and now have transformed really lots of people's lives. So starting from the Reproductive Health Act, which codified Roe v. Wade, the Contraception Coverage Act, which gives more access to all people for contraceptives, the DREAM Act, which allows for undocumented children to have access to higher education through the TAP grant that is associated with that bill. GENDA, which protects rights of the trans community and makes it a hate crime to discriminate against individuals who consider themselves trans. The Child Victims Act. This one was especially important for me. The Child Victims Act allows for individuals who were victims of child sexual abuse to have a 1-year look-back window to bring cases up. Now, this is significant because a lot of people...
A 1-year window, like
a look back, right? So like, excuse me, a look forward, but it's really a look back. So, like, you have 1 year, even though the statute of limitations would have been expired.
So from now on, from here, you have a year.
1 year.
To look. Okay.
That's right. That's exactly right. And I should have said a look back, a look forward,
right.
A 1 year look forward to bring cases. Now, a lot of people who are victims of abuse from the church and from other areas and universities and whatever, because abuse is that epidemic.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now have the opportunity as adults to bring a case, whereas previously they were locked out. We also extended the statute of limitations for civil and criminal cases for child sexual abuse. These are significant things, and they're significant because it links to what we see across all of our systems, which is abuse of power and abuse of people. And I do think that if you go back and you look even more, like go a few steps back further, lots of people are addicted to opioids. Lots of people are addicted to alcohol. You have so many people who have experienced trauma in this world, and we don't really look at that. We look at, oh, that person has a pain, give them a pill. Oh, that person is sad, and medicate them. Oh, that person is abusive, shh.
Right.
No, like it's all related and linked up, and so the children and the people who are now adults who've been abused as children can now have justice if they so choose. But the point being that it sends a signal to the state. We will not tolerate that, right?
And now, I wonder, was cash bail, is that one of...
Yes, it was.
Okay.
So we eliminated cash bail. That was the criminal justice package. We eliminated cash bail for most misdemeanors and some felony offenses. And now, this was not what we all wanted. We all wanted elimination of cash bail.
Right.
Totally.
Now, what about people who are sitting on bail, but this works for people now.
That's right.
Forward.
That's right. Forward.
So someone who, say, 2 months ago, is still sitting in there because they don't have bail, it won't help them.
No, it won't help them.
Okay. Somebody just called.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it does. But if I'm wrong, great. But I don't. I think it's a look forward. It's from the point in time that it was passed, which would be the day that we passed the budget.
And that's very important because other people have wondered that.
Absolutely. I mean, so cash bail, right? Speedy trial reform and discovery. Collectively, those things come together to make sure that people are not sitting in prison just because they're poor, right? And then people don't get out simply because they have money, and that we're actually speeding up our justice system in a way that is on point and par with reality, which is that we know that if we put someone in a jail, which, by the way, it's very important that we talk about this the right way. Jails are not prisons, and prisons are not jails, right? So jails are where people go. It's pre-trial. A prison is where somebody goes after they've been sentenced, with the exception of Rikers, where you do have individuals who are serving misdemeanors, where their sentences are 1 year at Rikers Island, which is a jail. Okay. It's important that we make sure that people are not held in such a way that disrupts their lives, right? Because, by the way, again, simply because someone is accused of a crime doesn't mean they're guilty of a crime.
Right.
And also, it's important we have to think about the long-term effects of this. If someone is a breadwinner in their family, or even if they're just a dual owner, dual salary sharer in the family, like, we have to think about pulling that person out of their family disrupts the entire economic system that hold that family together. It also keeps people away from their families, which is another issue down the road with closing Rikers. But the long and short is that we want people to see justice.
Real quick, so a lot of people were saying there was a feedback. I think I've solved the problem. I need everyone to tell me if they can hear better now. Because I definitely want to make sure everybody can hear. I think I've eliminated why there was feedback. Everybody's okay. So I'm getting better. Okay.
Yes.
I'm hearing that it's better.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I apologize.
My voice really carries.
I like it.
I apologize. for everybody. So we'll move on from here. And Judge Armstrong, Mount Vernon City Court judge, said bail reforms begins
January 1,
1st, 2020.
So we have time.
So yeah. So
thank you, Judge Armstrong.
And thank you, Tracy, Cicely, and everyone for saying they can hear better. I just wanted to, I had one or two. Caitlin Gleason says hello.
Hi, Caitlin.
Yes.
Love Caitlin.
Yes. That's how I met you. Cause
That's right.
She told me you got to come to me. You
Caitlin
got to meet her. You
yeah.
got to meet her.
Caitlin's awesome.
Judge Armstrong told us, thanks for the shout out. Yes, we would love you to submit an article in next month's issue. And he said perhaps the senator can speak. You spoke to some of it already.
Sure.
Some of the reforms that were recently passed, but that was when you first got here. So
Sure.
And I just want to say the deadline. I need your article by Friday, Judge Armstrong, for it to be in the next paper. So if you can get it to me by Friday, it will be in the paper's coming out on the 15th of the month for the next few months. So if the May 15th issue, I need the deadline for your advertising too.
Awesome.
I need a deadline for any article submissions this Friday.
Can I just say something, too, about the fact that you are dedicated to this newspaper? It's important, too, for all people, but especially for the younger electeds now and younger leaders to not forget about the print form of communication, especially since a lot of our seniors are not on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, right? And this is the way we communicate with them. So when we do have different events happening or if we have a message to share, the paper is the best place to do it. And we should not forget that.
I thank you for saying that.
Yeah, it's really the truth.
People need to hear that from someone other than me, because I say this all the time.
You miss a whole population of people if you don't talk to them everywhere you can get. Our goal should be to get it everybody everywhere, right? Like I wish we had a little magic button we could push the button and they could hear us. Hello, today we've done this thing, but we don't. Right? The closest we get is social media, so we have to continue to make sure that we are dedicated to the print version of communication. And for those people who say that it's it's dying, it's not necessary. It is. It is. There are people who rely on it for their information to run their lives. Right. So.
I mean, we started it because, and now to be real quick, there was a void between City Hall, between government, and I live on South 7th Avenue. I live in the middle of the hood on the South Side, and things that they would talk about on those things didn't trickle down to my block. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like,
we still see that now.
I wanted to say, me and Cynthia Turnquest Jones had a conversation while attending the library functions, and Cynthia essentially pointed out that absent a newspaper, we really, in some respects, some of us are living in information deserts.
Absolutely.
And that the sale of a newspaper at the local corner store, which we all once took for granted in a previous generation, is becoming a thing of the past.
That's right.
And she worried about it, and so
we created this model for free for the people because we wanted to give the information to the people, and even if we charge 50 cents, there would be people who still wouldn't get the information. It was important to get the information to as many people as possible. So we depend on, I mean, I know y'all get tired of me talking about advertising, but advertising is the way that pays, that keeps the paper free.
Just like you're sick of talking advertising, I hate talking about fundraising. Because, and why is that? I don't know. Maybe it's like because when we're younger, we don't learn about financial literacy and the importance of being able just to talk about money like it's normal. We have this story behind money of like what it is and like it's not bad. It makes the world go round. It's how it's used is how you can judge it. Not the actual entity of it isn't. That's how you communicate with people. That's how you buy food. That's how you have a house over your head. That's how you fund our schools, fix our streets. It's like, so that is an interesting thing that I want to talk about maybe another day. But
absolutely.
There is a lot around that
Just so you know,
topic.
you have an open door policy. If you need to address the people, there's a microphone here for you. You just need to let us know, and we could definitely make time for you. That's
awesome.
And I invited a lot of our elected officials. They don't take advantage of it.
Sure. Well, this is the way, right? Like being able to speak to people and then also have a dialogue, because obviously right now, there's people who get to ask questions, and that's honestly the best way to do it, because even if I do a town hall or any event, I don't want to just talk at people all the time, but like obviously different mediums for different styles, but the fact that you have the component of having people engage, that's exactly the lever that we should all be pulling, but some people are afraid to pull it. They don't want to hear from people, and they don't want people to know what they're up to, and those are the people we have to keep our eye on.
Someone said, great way to explain money is that money is a town hall meeting. a great way would be a town
Oh, in
hall
a town hall.
meeting.
I would love to do
Yeah.
that, especially because one of the avenues to discuss would be the money in politics, like if the influence and the issue of money in
I
politics.
think that's what gets us in trouble. That's some of the
No
problems
doubt.
we have even in the city of Mount Vernon was the money in
Sure.
politics and being beholden to people who provided that money.
That's exactly right.
And that's one thing about, we have the thing with Shirley Chisholm on every issue. We are unbought and unbossed,
right.
and no
That's
one can
right.
tell us not to say anything.
That's right.
Dr. Bob, I would like to give Dr. Bob a chance because I know he's sitting there like, I want to ask something. Go ahead.
No. I was being very patient. I just, I was mentioning to the senator that we were both reviewing her legislative record for the previous session
Okay.
before we came on air. And so one of the things I noticed that you had several reform proposals. I don't know if they've all been enacted, designed specifically to get money out of politics, so to speak, here in New York State. Even interestingly, I saw a mention of IDAs and several things. So I
Yes.
wanted to know maybe if you just share with us some of the highlights of the bills that you have
Got it.
proposed with respect to some of these
Absolutely.
financial reforms, and how far along are we in the process?
Sure.
The sense I had was that some of them are passed, others not.
That's right. All right, here we are. So this goes to like where we all kind of like hit this off, which is that we are in the process, I believe, of transforming systems that have been holding up this whole political structure forever. You could go all the way back to Tammany Hall, and I would argue that you could probably go all the way back like millennia, right? This is the way that people have gotten things done. Now, it has changed, and it has changed for the better, but the tone and the note that I'm trying to take is that as we are passing reforms or laws or bills or whatever, we should encourage transparency, accountability provisions, and inclusivity. And by inclusivity, I mean that if there is an opportunity to include the public in any form of our process, we should 100% always do that. And in the IDA reform aspect of this, which is one area of what we're all looking at, this is a Senator James Skoufis and Senator Shelley Mayer bill. They're proposing to reform IDAs because historically, developers have come into neighborhoods and they have said, yes, great, we're going to build over here and we're going to build this structure. And they've left the community out. So community benefit contracts and community benefit agreements have been left out, and that's one of the ways that we think we can change the IDA system. Now, I've heard from people who live in Mount Vernon that there are issues with the IDA process as it relates to the city of Mount Vernon, and so that's something I'm looking at too, because we can't shy our eyes away from where people, and by people I mean the public, is getting taken advantage of simply because of money. And this goes to the whole theme of the show. It is about people over politics and money. It has to be. It cannot be about profits over people. And any topic you look at, if you look at even how you get elected, it's all about, okay, got to keep the people in power. And how do you do that? You raise money. And like, even if there's a better candidate or someone with a better message or someone who has, more visionary ideas or who could transform a city or town, we haven't historically gone that direction because of politics and because of the beholden nature of people who are in the system. And so that's something that we have to, again, keep our eye on and be vigilant for. So IDAs, public financing of elections. Let's talk about that for a minute. So during the budget process, I was very vocal about making sure that we had a public financing system put into the budget as a provision and as a statute. And what we got was a commission, which will look at public financing and come up with an answer for us in December. Now, I'm not a fan of commissions, and that's not because commissions can't do good things. They can. The problem with the way that commissions have been used in this state is that commissions will be part of a bill, the bill will pass, individuals will be appointed to that commission, and those individuals will basically serve as the legislators, per se, of that specific issue. That's a problem. That's a problem. It should be a problem for everybody, but it's a problem because our constitutional duty as legislators is twofold. It's pass a budget, pass legislation. If I'm giving that power to somebody else, I don't feel like I'm fulfilling my duty. So we have a commission to deal with public financing that's going to look at this issue, and there's a lot of people in this state that don't want public financing.
Absolutely. So now, We have a primary coming up June 25th.
Yes, next year, 2020.
Well, no, this year.
we do.
I'm sorry.
Locally, we do.
Oh, yes.
State-
Oh, yes,
yeah,
you
yeah,
do.
so-
You don't,
Yes,
but we do.
I don't. I was like, wait a minute.
Wait. So I know that was passed on the state level, and a lot of people are still not clear why
Sure.
it's moved up and what other things in the election reform
You got
were
it.
passed that affect us for this
Absolutely.
election right now.
Absolutely. So we were able in the first week of our legislative body convening to pass several things that I believe are going to help us in the long term have a more engaged electorate. So we did early voting. We were one of the only states in the country not to have early voting, which basically means that in the 2 weeks leading up to the election, you can vote. Now, for a lot of people, that's important because on election day, perhaps they can't get to the polls because of their job,
Right.
because of childcare,
Right.
because of whatever reason it is that prevents them from getting to the polls. So we want to make it easier.
That was a beautiful. I was in Atlanta for both Obama elections, and that was
Yes.
a beautiful thing. Like I
It
voted a week
is.
or two early. Like,
And
that
how
was just a
amazing is
beautiful
that?
thing. Yeah.
It makes you feel like, okay, I did it. I'm done. I don't have to like worry about it on election day, which is one short period of time. We also consolidated the primaries. Now, what does that mean? In the state of New York, it is my understanding that we were the last state out of all the states to have primaries on the same day, state and federal. So as you all know, right, we've had primaries for Congress in June, and we've had state primaries in September. No longer will that be the case. We've consolidated them so that the state primaries will be in June, and that of course, the general election will remain in November, as all elections are on general election day. That's significant because of many reasons. The first one is that we spend a lot of money on primaries, and by ensuring that we have it on the same day, we consolidate that cost. We also don't confuse people. If I talk to someone in the street and I'm like, hey, did you vote? They're like, for what thing? Right? There's
Right,
like the
right.
school board I went to vote for,
Right,
there's
right,
some
right.
community board thing. Like, stop asking me to vote all the time.
Right.
And honestly, I get it. It's annoying, right? Even though it is a privilege to be able to vote, but we want to make it easier for people. We
Right,
want to
'cause
make it easier.
Last year, I had Ingalls vote
That's
early
right.
on. Then we had, I think we had a library vote, and then we had a school
School board, then we had a
and
school
then
bond.
and then we had school board. Then
Yes.
we had the primary, and then the general election.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. And when I was knocking on doors after June and around my district, especially in City Island and Pelham Parkway area, people were asking me. They were like, "Oh no, I already voted for you." I was like, no, you didn't. I'm not Alexandria. I'm Alessandra. My primary is September. Please come out to vote in September. Oh my God. So that was actually very stressful.
AOC made a lot of noise. I wanted to welcome to the show my host, my partner in crime, Damon K. Jones. Can you hear me, Damon?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What's
Okay.
up, Damon?
Hey there, Senator.
How are you? Nice to see you.
Doing?
D, what up, D? How are you today?
Yeah, he doesn't come to the studio no more.
Right.
He's in the bat cave. He don't come to the studio no more.
I get it.
Did you have a question for the senator? Since you just I know we talked a little bit about criminal reform.
I just popped in. She was at the
Voting
what are
reform.
you talking about? Yeah, the voting.
Yes.
The voting. Yeah, I think. But I think it's kind of crazy. But a lot of people are having a hard time adjusting. I think we just need to inform the people more.
Agreed.
That there is a primary in June.
I actually think, and y'all you might not agree, but I think this was a test so they worked out all the bugs. So when your election comes up next year, y'all
Honestly.
have all the bugs worked out. I think
Exactly,
I think it's an
exactly.
experiment they tried this year. There's only local elections this year. Let's try it now.
know.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I was really thrown off. I was preparing for a September primary, and then
Right.
all of a sudden I got the news. No, those 4 months you were looking for is gone.
But you know what, George Latimer, when he was on there, he said, well, one of the things he was pushing for this when he was running last
Yes.
year, he said, because, he has to do a primary up to
Yes.
September. And then where Astorino had been campaigning, the Republican had been campaigning all along.
That's right.
So he wasn't able to really. He had to win the primary, deal with the
right.
primary, and then
Your runway
before
is
he
shorter.
then he had a short amount of time to actually
That's right.
compete with Astorino when Astorino was coming at him the whole time.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And that makes it really hard if you want to actually run and win an election. One of the other things that we actually did for voting reform, and this is probably going to shock a lot of people who don't know this, when we go to vote down here, right, and by down here I mean Westchester, we go to vote, the polls open at 6 a.m., right? They close at 9 p.m. Upstate New York, they open at noon.
Wow.
That's crazy. Like, why are we doing that? Like, that's totally
So
insane.
when did they close?
9. So 12 to they have shorter amount of time to vote. So we extended the time that they can vote for, because general election they're open earlier, but for primaries they were open later. So now it's all around the whole state. It'll be the same time, and that's an important thing because there is a long-standing argument in the state that New York City and New York City area takes up all the air in the room. It's not completely inaccurate. And one of the ways to stop that division is to make sure that we're all being treated the same. Like, why are we doing that?
Now, with the early voting, how many days is it before the primary, and
10.
how many days before the general election?
It's 10 days before the general election. And I believe...
And 10 days before the primary?
I don't believe...
the primary is shorter, though,
The
right?
primary is shorter, but I think it's just for the general election. And someone please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm like almost 100% sure that it's the general election.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We also did no absentee ballot voting, and no excuse absentee ballot voting. The reason why that's significant is because before we passed this bill, if you voted by absentee because you're like, I'm leaving the state on the Tuesday, I'm not even going to be here.
Right.
Okay. And you vote absentee. If you were in the state, that was considered a felony. So we need to have we need to have no excuse so that there is no issues of, oh, well, I'm here now, or I could, it's crazy. There's no reason to be holding anybody like accountable in a negative way for voting.
Right.
That's a silly thing, and it's a ridiculous, punitive.
Now you're welcome
approach.
to stay as long as you are, but I know since you have time, I wanted to give you when people want to reach you, how do they reach you?
Absolutely.
Is there anything that you didn't say? What and maybe in the last words, can you tell your people what your plans are for for this year for your district?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Okay, so two important things three important things that I want to share.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, we just went through an incredibly informative, illuminating, terrifying budget process in March. One of the things I intend to do for the rest of this year into the budget process next year is learn that thing inside and out so that when I get back to that table, I have a full grasp of what we are working with here. And that's not only about the policy, that's about the politics. Because there is a real phenomenon happening in the state of New York because of a court case called Silver v. Pataki that gives the executive outsized power when it comes to the budget. That's a problem. I want to learn how to fix it. So, let's go. And I'm going to work with the community to teach everyone everything I learned so they understand what's going on and don't just read about it in a newspaper and kind of have an understanding. I want to do town halls to do that. That's number one. Number two, we have a rent reform package coming up because the rent laws expired June 15th. This is an incredibly massive opportunity because for the past 10 years at least, the real estate industry has really taken a long and strong hold on the laws in the state of New York, and this is an important opportunity to allow for tenants and for everyday working people and New Yorkers to be able to just have the laws that protect them. And why is that significant? Because if you are a renter in New York at this moment, and let's say you're in an apartment in, I don't know, Fleetwood, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you're in Fleetwood. Mm-hmm. And someone knocks on the door, and the door opens, and you say, oh, yeah, hi. I'd like to change the wood paneling on your door. It looks like it needs some upgrades. You say, yeah, okay, no problem. Thanks so much for coming, right? Great. They come in, they change it, they take it out. Maybe they put wood in, maybe they put plastic in. Who knows, right? Close the door, they leave. Next month, you get your bill, and you're like, wait, what? Why is my rent going up? What's going on there? Well, what the landlord has the right to do is to take that upgrade, major capital improvements, they're called MCIs, put it onto the bill. And they can do that in perpetuity. Even if that thing costs $1 and they charge you $1 for the rest of your life, they can do that. They're also not required to provide receipts. So there's a lot of abuse in the system, and if their rent
they
goes
can
up,
charge you for repairs that they needed to do in the building.
That's right.
They can charge you.
They put it on your rent.
Okay.
That's right. Now, for some people, that means that if they're on a fixed, and most of us are on fixed incomes. Like, this is just the reality of the world. I'm on a fixed income.
I'm on a broken
Hello.
income. But
So, right, when your rent goes up, you're like, I'm not staying here. I'm out. So then you leave. Well, you leave, your life is disrupted. If you have children, you got to take them out of schools, whatever. That landlord can then say, oh, if that was a rent-regulated apartment, they can take that rent-regulated apartment, take it off rent regulation, put it at market value. It's this little system and cycle of abuse that have really not only kept the working people down, but have disrupted communities at at some of the most crucial times, like raising your children, like being a young worker for the first time. You're coming out, you're saying, I graduated from college and now I have a job and now I have to move again and again and again. It's an abuse of our system that needs to be fixed. So this is one of the areas that's going to be an incredible opportunity. So we're working on that. Keep your eye out for that, please. There's at least 8 to 10 bills that can really change the whole game. And last but not least, sexual harassment legislation and hearings. I was given the good fortune, and I really do mean that, not cliched at all, to chair the sexual harassment hearings in February. And it was the first hearing in 27 years that the legislature held
I saw that. Yeah.
It's a big deal because we know that harassment in the workplace and sexual harassment generally is an epidemic. It just is. And yet we don't talk about it because it makes us uncomfortable and it's really hard and we don't want to, tell our friends that they did something wrong or whatever. We've got to get the laws right because we're in a system right now where we're encouraging people to be silent. We're not rewarding them for speaking up, and we're not protecting them when they do speak up. And so we have, from the first hearing, at least 15 bills that came out of that as a policy initiative, and we're going to be going into our second set of hearings in May 24th in New York City. And anyone is available to testify and to come on and share their experience so that we can better be informed about how to write the laws that will guard and guide our entire state. So if anyone's interested, please come down.
Someone was talking about the rent thing you was talking about, and they said that is a problem. And at the end of the lease, they also try to keep your deposits.
That's right.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
And for any little thing. And there's so many abuses. I mean, preferential rent, vacancy decontrol, eviction bonuses, just go on and on. I mean, they don't have to give good cause for eviction. I mean, a landlord. So we've got to do better here, and we can do better here. The problem is that we have a real estate interest lobbying against it, and every developer is not bad, just like every tenant is not good, but we got to do good so that there's a balance in the system. So anyway, if anybody wants to get involved or reach out, you can reach out on Twitter or Instagram or on Facebook. It's Biagi, 4NY, or just email me, biagi@newyorksenate.gov, nysenate.gov. I answer every single email that comes through.
That's a beautiful thing. And like I said, I know you got to go. I want to thank you for your time. And again, there's an open door policy. I want you to hold me to that. And
thank you.
There's a mic for you whenever you need to address the people. If there's an issue, even if it's to come in to help educate the people on whatever's going on, or let people know what y'all trying to do.
Thank you.
You know how to contact me.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and just want you to know that this is one of the most important things to be able to do, is to share what's going on in a very real way. We can't be afraid to do that, and if we're afraid, then we have to ask the question why.
And once again, thank you. Damon wasn't on then. Thank you for telling other elected officials how important it is to support and advertise in papers like Black Westchester.
It's incredible. Yes, it's important. The print form is important.
Oh, thank you.
It's true. How many people read the newspaper? So many people. We forget about them if we don't share information with them.
Okay,
I know you get ready to leave, and I know I came in late. I'm just want to know, did you touch on the prosecutorial misconduct commission?
We didn't talk about it. Would you like to talk about it?
If you have time, please.
I have a few. I have literally 2 minutes.
Okay, then.
Right. Just.
Would you like me to talk about it? Okay. So here's the deal, right? I don't want to talk for anybody else. I'll speak for myself. I know that there have been abuses of power in that system. And to not have a commission, or to have a commission that doesn't have the power to really look at the abuses in that system, is a problem. We should not be afraid to want to improve our system. And also, people who have abused their power, whatever seat that they're sitting in, it doesn't matter. It's our obligation to hold them accountable. And so prosecutors are not above the law. Elected officials are not above the law. School board members are not above the law. Citizens are not above the law. Nobody is above the law.
Except for the president. Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
Did I say that out loud? No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And we should take a close look at not only their conduct, but do it in such a way where, and this is something I struggle with as the chair of ethics, do it in such a way where the policies and the reform that comes out of it actually can withstand the test of a change in administration. And I don't know how to do that yet, and I'm really actually struggling. But what I can say is that when you look at like the Constitution of the United States, I feel like that was their best effort to create a document to guide us. Now we can go back and forth about what does this mean? What does this mean? I think it means this, but I think it means that, and have different interpretations. But our goal should be to create laws and policies and rules that cannot be interpreted in such a way that it can be used to abuse people, and that actually cannot be undermined depending upon who's sitting in the seat to make decisions. That is one of the biggest issues that I face no matter what the actual issue is, and I would welcome anybody who has experience with this type of thinking on how to do it.
And I appreciate your honesty, because some people would not have given it. They would have said something else. But I appreciate your honesty.
You have to look at it. Yeah. Please, the one thing I can't do is I will not sit here and like put up screens for things that are clearly happening. We can't, because our change is urgent. What we need to do needs to happen right now. We cannot wait, and we cannot be told to have patience. We have waited long enough. And even though I am young and I acknowledge that, I am not spending my whole life talking about the same thing in a circle because other people are afraid to face it. I will face the thing, and whatever the consequences of that are, they are. But I'm here, and this is what I'm doing right now. It's facing the urgency of our systems and changing them. And if the people don't want me to be in this seat anymore, they'll tell me. But that's who I work for. Absolutely. And that's it.
We thank you for coming again. And again, in addition to the open mic, if you ever need something that you want to write an editorial for in the paper.
I would love to. There's so many things.
Okay, absolutely.
There's so much to say and do.
Absolutely. We thank you for
so
coming.
Much. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Senator.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate all of you.
Senator Biaggi. Yes. Hopefully that will not be the last time we see her, and she will be back.
It will not be.
All right.
Yes, Senator. Have a good one.
Yes. Definitely was blessed to have her come on the show. We had, it's important that and I say that to say, we need the state senator that covers the South Side, Jamal Bailey, to come on and speak to our audience as well. We've reached out to him a few times. We're waiting to hear back. We're going to start reaching out to him again. But we need to hear from our elected officials. They come to us when they run. They come to our churches. They come on the shows. They come to get interviews. Like over the next 2 months, you're going to see a lot of candidates that want to run for a position, that want you to vote for them. But then when they get the position, you don't hear from them. You know what I'm saying? You don't have access to them anymore. You don't hear. They don't. You don't get to address what what's going on. You don't have access. So I'm glad that she had made this engagement, this date like 2 months ago. She had to get over a couple of things. She had to do the budget and all that stuff. But I definitely want to give her props for coming. And we had the state majority leader come on, Andrew Stewart-Cousins. We've had George Latimer, and we're going to be reaching out to the rest of our elected officials, to come address us after, to let us know now that you got the position, what you're going to do with it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I wanted to do this. So Damon, what's going on, fella? You get a chance? What you been up to?
Nothing much, man. Just handling business. That's about it, man. That's about it. Just handling business.
All right.
But it's good to be back on the show.
Oh, no doubt.
Good to see you, brother.
So,
yes, sir.
What stuff is going to be going on in the last week or so that's on your mind? What you
Well, I want to shout out to all the people that attended the rally for unsolved murders. Man, I'm writing a piece. I'm going to write a piece on it because I think it's key. I put a post on Facebook. When Black mothers cry about unsolved murders, it's anti-police, but when white mothers cry about unsolved murders, is informing the public. It's called public awareness on the white mothers, but it's anti-police on the Black mothers. And the question is, do our politicians hear the cry of Black mothers when it comes to crime and violence in the Black community?
Absolutely.
Do our politicians actually hear that? Because if you use Mount Vernon as a as a test. It's a microcosm of what's going on in black communities throughout the nation, and how black murders of black children or black people is treated towards white people. And this is a fact-based analysis. This is just not emotions. This is how we are treated differently throughout the justice system when dealing with the lives of black people. So
shout out to Jesse. I think I saw his name on the check-in we talked about the rally a little earlier.
Jesse and the chief and people who put that together, and I think it's very important. And I think Mariam Williams, whose son Doug was killed 10 years ago, she's having an anniversary of the death of her son. It's coming up. Hopefully, we'll have more information on that. I got to reach out to Mariam Williams, see if she can come on the show.
Nas Duncan, shout to Nas Duncan. She wanted to let us know that the rally yesterday, while everybody who wanted to go might not have been there, it had 700 views in 24 hours. So yes, people were paying attention.
Nas,
and people are paying attention.
And Nas, stay strong, and thank you for doing what you do.
Absolutely.
And what you have done for the community, bringing that type of awareness and speaking truth to power, and pushing against the forces that be that want to keep Miss Duncan silent on how she was treated. So I think I think we have a lot of more work to do, man, and we have to really hold our elected officials, whoever they are, feet to the fire, man, because there's a lot of bullshit going on.
Absolutely.
And I think we have to call the bullshit out on what, no matter what level that bullshit is on.
I already stated before that we are waging war on bullshit. We're waging the war of bullshit. Sound the alarm. We're waging war. Yeah,
okay.
That's the bell.
Bring
waging
the
war.
alarm.
We're waging war against bullshit. So, I mean, because we have to help because I struggle with navigating through the bullshit. I said, thank you, Damon. I struggle with navigating through the bullshit. And then, the people, and I'm a little more informed than a lot of the people. So, I have to be able to articulate it so that they can understand it. You know what I mean? And then we have to get to the truth. And unfortunately, I had a conversation probably about 2 years ago with Ty Milburn from News 12, and he was like, especially when it comes to places like Mount Vernon, it's like an onion. You just like keep peeling back layers. You got to keep peeling back layers and keep peeling back layers to get to layers just to get to the truth. Like there's like 7 to 8 different versions of the truth, and then before you actually get to what actually is the truth. You know what I mean? So it's just like, and it's a frustrating process. But we do that, you know what I'm saying, to keep the people informed. I mean, that's what we got. That's what we do. So, and she said, "Thank you, Damon. Never backing down." Yes.
Yes.
Nas. Right. So, I wanted to shout Jesse. I also wanted to say, wow, this one, Bob, Damon, and myself actually, for different reasons, did not attend, but we've been at every other one and helped promote it and everything else. Damon and Bob have spoke. Everybody should come out and support that. Everybody should come out and support that. Don't wait for the tragedy again to hit your doorstep before you start speaking up on situations like this. You should come out and support this. I mean, because if it happened to you, you're going to be looking for the support and your struggle for justice for the homicide of your child. So we need to support these groups when they come out. Save Mount Vernon is doing good work. Just regular residents that just were tired of what was going on and couldn't remain silent any longer. And when Jesse is very unapologetically, he is going to speak out. And we need more. And one thing he said that I quote, and I'm going to try to see if I can find that part of the video, we need more men. And Damon says this all the time. There were plenty of mothers out there. There was, you get your grandmothers, you get your aunts out there. Where were the men? We need the men to step up in our community and speak up. You know what I'm saying? The strength, like, our women have been holding us down on many arenas, and our men have been visibly absent. There are a few and far between who actually do, but we need, and I'm just saying that, and Damon has always said this, and me and Bob have had this conversation, the men need to come out. That's what people need to see. You know, ain't nothing more dangerous than a whole bunch of black men. Mm-hmm. You know, that's just like, that scares the world. Like, I'm for real. I don't know why black men don't get it. That's the scariest thing in the world. For on one accord, speaking up against a particular issue, that's the scariest thing in the world. You know what I'm saying? So, our men, we need to come out and support our women. We need to come by and stand by them. Even when they're speaking, we need to be out there in full numbers. You know, even if it's to protect them or just to support them or whatever, we need to be out there. So, I just want to put that there. There was not enough men, and that was one of the things Jesse called out. And I hope that we see more men come out in his next rally. He said he's not going to stop. He's going to continue to have those. So, we'll let you know when the next one is. Bob, any words?
Well, yeah, I mean, hey, for one, I was on spring break. As you know, I just finished up my spring break. I finally had a day to rest. Unfortunately, I was not fully aware yesterday when I had planned on resting a little bit, catching up on some rest and enjoying a day off, that the rally was going to be held. But I do want to, reiterate the importance of holding our elected officials' feet to the fire.
Real quick, Jesse Van Loo said they're scared. I call it for what it is. That's why they're not out there, the black men. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I was going to say that one of the ways that it's not only the reason that it's important that we bring about, solving more of these murders is not merely so families themselves, individual families who lost a loved one, can have peace of mind, which they most certainly do need. But when this kind of violent crime becomes rampant and goes unsolved, it really does corrode the basis of trust that's necessary for a community. And I want to just share a little anecdote from my own life. When I was living on Mount Vernon at my sister's house on Franklin Avenue, and for a couple of years, I lived in Mount Vernon my whole life, and hustled and everything. So I've been in very, risky situations. And when I look back, I would tell people that those were years of life self-imprisonment. And by this, what I meant, it was that I seldom ventured outside of my yard. I went to the store and came back, but I didn't engage with community. And I think this is important to note, because I think a lot of people, when you have this kind of rampant violence, it dissuades people from actually entering into the public sphere and building community with one another. We're only going to have a community when we are actually feel comfortable enough to sit down and talk with one another. And lots of times, fear of violence can be so heightened in the city of Mount Vernon that it's often discouraging people from just talking to their local neighbors and about problems that they're faced in their neighborhoods and what we can do to solve them. And so I think there's a dual benefit, both to individual families who've lost loved ones, but also to our community as a whole, to bring about a solution to these violent murders, violence generally, and to insist that our elected officials make this a high priority. So I'm in full support.
Any words, David? Any on the rally, or just criminal justice, or whatever? Or?
I think, man, I want to go back to the, I know the senator had to go, but I wanted to go back even more on the prosecutorial misconduct commission and the fact that our district attorneys, the district attorneys that black people faithfully vote for every election throughout New York, the New York State District Attorneys Association has filed a lawsuit to keep this commission from happening. I think that's very important. I always said that the most important elected official that a black person, a black, brown, even poor white person can come out to the ballots and vote for is your district attorney. So when you have district attorneys or a district attorney association fighting a bill to hold them accountable, that should send an alarm to everybody, especially black people. Our history of this criminal justice system has not been a great one, right? And we have a DA in the office right now in Westchester County that, from what we are seeing and what we are reporting, simply turns a blind eye to white crime when it's committed by white folks. And we also have instances coming out of the Westchester County District Attorney's Office in the last 10 years where there were a lot of cases that was questionable on how the DAs handled the case. So, I mean, I think we need to really vet our DAs and how they handle cases and how they handle their office and how many blacks they put in their office. We need to start putting a microscope on district attorneys. They're voted by the people, and I think you know, I think that's a lot of chutzpah, you know, for someone that's voted in by the people that are actually bucking a law that the state makes that will hold them accountable. So, you know, I hope people will pay attention, and it's unfortunately that Black Westchester Magazine and People Before Politics are the only media in Westchester County that's really going to talk about this, because you don't hear it. You know, I sat back and I watched the news and I watched. You know, there was just a couple of articles that the District Attorneys Association actually has this in court to keep it from happening.
Yeah, you wrote an article. People can see that in the your section, Black Facts by Damon K. Jones, on page 9 of the current issue. In the article, a district attorney is the most important elected government official that black and brown people can vote for. I also wanted to, while I have you, I wanted to shout out Jamal Smythe. Last week was the 4-year anniversary. Has it been 4 years? It was the anniversary. The young man. We had some Yonkers. Yonkers police officers had falsified police warrant affidavits, search warrant affidavits, and they lied literally in court. And the gentleman was the young man was sentenced to, I think, 15 or 20 years, and I guess they reached out to you, Damon, you know, and you helped them in their struggle to present to help him get free. And Black Westchester covered the story, and I believe the anniversary just passed. I think 4 years ago or 3 years ago that he was released after serving 4 years, and he granted us actually on the 27th, which 4 years from the 27th, he granted us the first interview. So I wanted to shout him out. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit too. So,
yeah, and I'm glad it's a beautiful thing that he's still out there. He's still doing good. He's making strides. You know, I mean, he's being a value to his community. You know, and that's what we want to see. God bless him and his family. You know, I think, but it also shows the importance of the work that we do. That, you know, we brought light to his case and went to court with his family and brought attention to what was going on, and to the point that, you know, like, we're right back to the misconduct in the DA's office, you know, and I think if we had those type of laws, if you looked at his case, you know, and you looked at the cops that was dealing with his case, and you were dealing with crooked cops, no, you know, I mean, no bones about it. You know, and then they turn around and they were planting evidence on people, and they were falsifying evidence, you know, and then the attorneys go around to try to think they covering their behind and give these cops weekends in jail.
And the only reason that Janet the only reason she even indicted them and prosecuted them was because she had prosecuted several of the cases from the information that she gave, and she had to cover her butt. Yeah, I don't even think it was against them. It was just a matter of covering her butt.
Right, but you know, see, here's something that nobody really talked about, because, you know, it got swept under the rug. a lot of times these DAs, especially let's deal with the case. What's the brother from Mount Vernon?
Anthony Smith.
With Lauren Razor and is that the case?
Oh, the brother who that testified.
The one you testified.
I cannot remember his name right now.
Okay. Well, anyway, when the defendant's lawyers sit down with the district attorney's office and go over the evidence and show them that the evidence that they have is bogus, and try to work it out behind closed doors and say, look, we're telling you, if you go to trial, you're going to lose. And they know it. And they still push the case on bogus evidence and lose. They should be brought up on charges.
Right, then they try to put it off on the Mount Vernon Police Department.
Because you wasted taxpayers' dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Then now you have put the county, right, in a situation that they're going to get sued civilly, right? Because when they go to court, and this is something that the DAs forget, ADAs, all them, they say, well, the people against so and so and so and so, right? So technically, they're supposed to be representing the people. So if you're representing the people, and the people on another level of state law say, we want oversight of you, who the hell are you to push against that?
So we're going to have to use our new button.
You have to keep up. If I'm in a good mood, you're going to be pressing that button a lot. But the whole thing is like, that's crazy. And that case, in that case, it shows you, when they're sitting down and they're going over evidence, a lot of times they know that the evidence is bogus, right? And they know that these cops that brought these evidence are crooked. There's an article about a DA in one of the towns, like 13 cops. She already said, whatever you bring in front of me, I'm not prosecuting because y'all are dirty cops.
Wow.
See, that's strong.
Yeah.
That's strong. And see, and that's the type of prosecutor, that's the type of DA, that's the type of elected official in the district attorney's office that the people want. And I'm going to say again, I'm going to keep on saying, we need to reevaluate as black people our relationship with Anthony Scarpino, the DA that's in there. What he has allowed to go on in Mount Vernon is atrocious. It's atrocious. It's atrocious, and it's disrespectful because he claims that city. He's from Mount Vernon, and he has allowed that. The chief law enforcement official of Westchester County has allowed this criminality nonsense to go on without a peep from his goddamn office.
We have two articles that are part of the cover story in the current issue of Black Westchester, Swept Under the Rug, Police Union Corruption in White Plains PBA. And the second part of that is Westchester DA Scarpino turns a blind eye to police corruption, talking about instances in Yonkers, White Plains Police Department, Eastchester Police Department, and all the stuff we publicize in the Mount Vernon Police Department. And for obvious reasons, for whatever reasons, he is turning a blind eye. And I will just read you a paragraph towards the end that I wrote. With 37 years of combined experience as a special agent in the Federal Bureau of Investigations and as a judge around Westchester County for 30 years, the voters expected more from the chief law enforcement officer in the county. He is obviously qualified, so one has to ask, why can't he seem to put a case together against Spezio despite the plethora of information that he received and provided? And why has he not done anything for police corruption around the county in the various police departments in Westchester County? One has to ask that question. And I can't, because a lot of times we say he's not qualified. He's obviously qualified. So why is it that he's turning a blind eye? Why is he not? Especially since there's an article on blackwestchester.com that he campaigned on on corruption. on prosecuting corruption. That was one of his campaign promises. So we need to hold him accountable. And that's so you can read that in detail. If you don't have the paper, there's the digital version, and I think both stories are actually on blackwestchester.com too. So you can read both of those stories. But you know, we've been we even put him on the cover just to get his attention, because we're not going to tolerate this. I mean, you know, you are the chief law enforcement of official in the county. I mean, if we have problems and we can't go to you, who do we go to? Like, I mean, this is what we elected you for. Well, this is what you were elected for. I actually didn't vote for you, but this is what you were elected for. I mean, and I don't mean no disrespect for that. I talked to the other candidate that happened to be a Republican, and that's who I actually voted for, because from his answers, he appeared to be more in line of what I wanted to hear as far as criminal justice reform. And he said he would prosecute anybody, no matter what, it don't matter if they're a police officer, police chief, whoever, he would prosecute anybody for corruption. And he made a very good argument, and I liked what he had to say. And I thought he was stronger on that, which meant a lot to me than Scarpino. So that's who I voted for. But Scarpino is our district attorney, regardless if I voted for him or not. And the people elected him to do what he said he was going to do, and prosecute corruption was one of his main points that he said that he was going to do. And again, you can go to Black Westchester. You can see it in his own words. This is from him. He said it. Like, I'm not just saying that's what he's about. I mean, that's what he said he was about. And we have not seen it since he's been in office. And yes, you did a little police raid, a little raid of some gang members and got some drugs off the street. And that's necessary as well. So I can't say you're not doing anything, but all of these instances of corruption in police departments, you are not doing. I'm getting calls from current officers that can't speak on the record, from former officers in Eastchester, from the people close to the White Plains Police Department. I'm getting calls. It's not even just, you know, I've been talking a lot about Mount Vernon. It's not just a Mount Vernon thing. It's a countywide thing. You're not doing it anywhere.
Well, hey AJ, let's put this in the perspective with the drug raid, right? Mm-hmm. Drug raid is what? Black and brown people.
Absolutely.
You know, black and brown people. So he wants to always put black and brown people that he arrested on TV on News 12 like he's doing something. What about white folks, right? What about the PBA president and the treasurer that stole $240,000? What about that?
The White Plains, right?
You know, what about the guns? What about the guns that are missing? There's guns missing from the Eastchester Police Department that they confiscated from a retired cop. What about that? Right? What about the no license, not having New York residency fucking deputy commissioner that has been violating people throughout Mount Vernon, right? There's little black kids that get arrested and come up to Valhalla for a lesser crime than what Joe Spezio has done the last 3 years in Mount Vernon, and he hasn't done shit. What about that?
You got people in Valhalla for an iPhone and some Jordans.
Exactly. You got
a double-digit sentence here.
Open container of beer.
What? What's the sister who died in the Mount Vernon jail cell?
Raynette Turner.
Raynette Turner was locked up for $20, stealing $20
crab legs.
Crab legs, and Joe Spezio has been accused of the commissioner of the Mount Vernon DPD of driving around just absconding with a vehicle.
Yeah, and not only
a
that,
$70,000 vehicle, and you've just been riding this vehicle around
flashing
after you've been relieved from your post.
And let me tell you,
that's theft.
Let me tell you, and the word on the street, he still got the car. Let's not forget, that's the car that was bought in his name. His name was on the receipt. Let's not forget what happened with that car. That was the whole thing around when Maureen Walker refused to pay for the SUV. The receipt was in his name. Ain't say the city of Mount Vernon. It said Joe Spezio on the receipt. They sold it to Joe Spezio. They didn't sell it to the city of Mount Vernon.
And let me just be clear so I can speak a little more. it's and it's not it's not like he just bamboozled his way. Yo, when New Rochelle Police Department caught him driving in New Rochelle, they seized the vehicle. The vehicle had to be turned over to the Mount Vernon Police Department. Joe Spezio was then driving it after that. You understand what I'm saying? It's not like he didn't turn it in. They had it and they gave it back to him.
Exactly.
I wanted to point that. Because people are missing that point. The New Rochelle Police Department took it away from him, and they seized it. They then transferred custody of it to the Mount Vernon Police Department, and then Spezio was driving in that vehicle since. And then when the DA was supposed to be asking questions, he turned it in again, and the DA dropped the charges or whatever, or dropped the investigation or whatever. And now he has it again. And now he has it again.
Yo, the district attorney's office is a fucking joke. It's a joke.
911 is a joke. The remix that Flavor Flav song. D.A. Scarpino is a joke. Yeah, we're going to have to remix that.
And then when they get a tip, right? Then they get a tip that he has it again. They say, well, we want pictures. No, that's your goddamn job.
Right. So the black one's supposed to do your work now?
Exactly.
I just want to weigh in and say that black people need to insist that our law enforcement officials enforce laws that prohibit white-collar crime as vigorously as the laws that are designed to prevent local street crimes. Because without it, we essentially create a two-tier system of justice where systemically we turn a blind eye towards the very serious, damaging, lasting crimes that are done by people who, like Joseph Spezio, as they flout our laws, and all the spotlight is shined on the transgressions of poor, mostly black and Latino men, and our cities continue to suffer, and it makes no sense.
Hey, Bob, but you know why they won't? You know why they won't do that? See, because those who commit white collar crimes or crimes like what Joe Spezio has been alleged to do, Joe Spezio has money. See, it's a difference. He has money to pay a lawyer to drag this shit out forever.
Right.
Drag it out forever. The little black kid with the iPhone, they ain't got no money.
Ain't got no bread.
They ain't got no bread. They get a public defender and they plead to 6 months, 8 months, a year in jail, right? So They ain't got no money. So they don't have to work. So the DA's office don't have to work to get a case. See, that they know if they bring charges, if they indict Joe Spezio, which they can, they can indict. If they can indict a ham sandwich, they can indict that fat motherfucker on all the things that he's been alleged to do. But they know they're gonna have to work on. Once they indict him, they're gonna have to work, and they don't want to work. They're fucking lazy. So they allow a black community to be tormented, to black people to be terrorized. You understand?
Terrorized
by someone using the law enforcement that's supposed to protect and serve just to terrorize people.
Operating under the color law is unacceptable. Anyone who saw the video of Joseph Spezio threatening a sitting city council person should have been outraged, because our laws make it very clear that elected officials have a sacrosanct status. And yet, as Joe looked to undo that by waving around a shield and threatening to break people up, and anyone who, like Councilman Wallace, who was taking a vigorous stance against some of the improprieties that Spezio and Thomas together were committing, he sought to cow and bully. And we need to deal with the bullies that many elected officials, including the sitting mayor of Mount Vernon, Richard Thomas, are welcoming into the black community in order that they could do serious harm. And we know, because we follow it, D, this is not, Mount Vernon is not the only community where Joe Spezio has thrown around his money and essentially bought the protection and cooperation of mainly black elected officials to do harm to the black constituencies that they were elected to serve. It is crazy.
No, exactly. But you know what? But you know what? Go back to where are the men? Like where are the pastors, man? Where are the black pastors? They should really be outraged. Because these black people that are being affected by a dysfunctional system, and I say it right here on the radio, straight up. There's a lot of good cops in Mount Vernon Police Department, but you can't be a good cop in a dysfunctional system. You can't be a good law enforcement officer, no matter what department you are, if your department is dysfunctional from the top.
Right.
Right? There's a lot of good ones. There's a lot of good ones. Even in my department it's getting better, but it was dysfunctional. So you can't be good there. Right? And if the system itself is dysfunctional. So so at the end of the day, what do you do? What do you do to fix it? What do you do to gain the respect back? Maybe people don't give a fuck if they're not being respected. I do. Especially if you put your life on the line every day, you want to have some respect, or you just want a paycheck or some overtime. Maybe you want some respect. I want respect.
Right.
Right. So, but at the end of the day, it's the community that has to, because everything is done at the will of the community. It should be, but the community hasn't got their shit together yet. Because see, they're still arguing and bickering and all this, and then those who's supposed to be the solid rock in the community, our pastors, our faith healers, our spiritual leaders, are silent, right? You haven't heard one thing, nothing. Thus said the Lord. We haven't heard that in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But they stand next to a criminally indicted mayor, but they won't stand with the mothers that have lost their children, that actually the ones that pay tithes to their churches.
Somebody's coming in.
So we got to question like where's our loyalty and what do we really want in the city?
Yes. Sorry, I had to step away real quick. We had somebody was lost, so I had to guide them in. Got Don Powell stopping by the studio real quick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are the things those are the things we got to question. And it's not disrespecting nobody, just having an honest conversation.
Absolutely.
It's just having an honest conversation, and if your feelings get hurt, then you got the problem.
We have to get to a point where we have to stop being critical. Like, people can be critical of the paper, and they may have honest critique. It's up to me to listen to that. And maybe incorporate some things that might make it for the better. But just because you are critical of me, we have to stop going after the people, that are critical of us. You know what I'm saying? And not being able to take it. We got to stop. We got to stop going at people for being critical. Calling them obstructionists, if you're an elected official, you're supposed to be for the people. So people are supposed to be critical of you. They have the right to be critical of you because they voted for you. They have the right to critique you. They have the right to call you out when you do something wrong because they voted for you. That gives them the right to speak against what you're doing if you're not doing right, or if to disagree with a movement, an action that you made, or whatever you did. They voted for you. You are their elected official. Your salary is paid by their taxpayer dollars, so they have the right to criticize you.
They do, but moreover,
I'm not talking about just hating on somebody, you just saying stuff nothing could be right. You just talk about some of that stuff going on Facebook. I'm not talking about that.
Right. But it's just sheer absurdity. The conception that the average citizen in the United States seem to have about exactly what a fucking election actually means. You would think from the rigmarole that's going on in the city of Mount Vernon that once Richard Thomas was elected the mayor, he was elected a fucking king or something. A democratic system is we know well the principle of the division of powers and the branches, etc. We have a divided government deliberately, but more importantly, we have a democratic government, which means that we're supposed to engage in informed debate about policy proposals and actions that elected officials are taking. If we are to seriously adopt a view that once a person gets into office, they're immune from criticism, that means effectively people cede control of their government.
Same thing on the national level with the president.
Exactly.
The president wants to be like them, like Putin and the guy from North Korea, where he's just the leader forever. Like he thinks we need to do that. We need to march. I mean, we need to have parades marching in his honor, like they do in North Korea. You know what I'm saying?
But there's one difference. There's one difference between Trump and Richie, right? Trump was always gangster, right?
Yeah.
Right. Richie's gangster because of his position. There's a difference.
You got a point.
There's a difference there. See, because when he loses that position, right, he's as soft as paper flowing in the goddamn wind.
I want to introduce.
And I'm saying that to be clear, because without his position, he's a mouse.
Well, a lot of people
he uses his position, right, for his power. But without his position, he's not a man. He's not a man at all.
A lot of people, and this happens in law enforcement too. A lot of people that have never got respect for in their life, now that they have a badge and a gun, or now that they have an elected position, they were like, "Oh, you will respect me now." Like they're gonna take that respect because they never got it before. You know what I'm saying? And they think that now this earns them you owe them that respect now, and that's not the case. I want to introduce our next guest that stopped by real quick.
Transition.
Yeah. My man Don Powell, DP, Plug Printing.
Legendary. Is that the legend right there?
The legendary Don Powell. From the days of what was Hollywood? From the Palace, the legendary days of the Palace in New Rochelle. Printer extraordinaire. Promoter. Those T-shirts that we had done with the cover of the paper, those were done by Don Powell.
Okay.
So he stopped by real quick to say what's up to the people real quick.
Good evening.
What have you been up to? I know you have this thing, this generational wealth thing. And I know that's something that a lot of us don't know anything about. So speak a little bit about generational wealth. What is that? And why did you decide to do a line of shirts that say that?
I was going to do this personally. Teach the kids how to create. It's basically an entrepreneurial thing. We don't leave nothing for our generation, and this is something that I started. It's dear to my heart. Once we leave stuff, I mean, the other side has stuff where they leave things for their people. We don't for our children.
We leave debt. They leave fortune. They leave houses. They leave property. We leave debt.
Yeah. So I started this movement, and it took off. It went viral, so, my kids will be better off than me, and they'll have something to live, to move forward on.
I did a story a while back. If you take a black person that's the age of 21 and a white person at the age of 21, the white person sometimes has two legs up already because he has generational wealth. His family owns property, owns a company, owns whatever, and that's going to be passed on to him. And he's already starting at a higher level as far as borrowing money, as far as credit, like towards a new business or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Then that black person at the same age whose parents got two jobs and they're struggling and they don't have anything to leave to him. So we have too many times we're already starting in a negative in that level.
If we start that consciousness now, we won't be in the same boat. It might take a while, but basically that's what it is.
It has to start somewhere.
It has to start somewhere, and it starts now. Whoever's wearing the T-shirts, because I own a printing company, I could launch these out. T-shirts are only $20, sweatshirts are $25, and hoodies are $30. Nobody else could do that, but our sister company owns that, so I'm able to do that. It's at Centertee.com. SEND-A
I wanted now you've advertised that before. I know that's a unique thing.
It was on.
What is sendat.com? Because it was a unique idea.
It is, and it's working. Basically, you could go to that website. If it's Mother's Day, right now there's a Mother's Day video up on Facebook. If you need Mother's Day, Father's Day, or any situation, or just send a tea to somebody you love.
Instead of sending flowers or cards, you can have a shirt made up and send them a T-shirt, like what for the holiday or whatever. Yeah. So I thought that was, I had never seen that before.
I know, I created it.
That was an interesting model. So how is that working?
It's working. Because you could go there, you don't have to worry about designs. Certain designs, too, like car dealerships could go there, and there's a section called Thank You Shirts, where it's got somebody thanking somebody. You just buy a car, a couple of days later, you get a T-shirt in the mail saying thank you.
So unlike normal, like, if you were doing an event and you go to a printer, you normally have to order like a dozen shirts for whatever. Like you can send, I want to send my sister in Virginia a shirt. I can create a shirt and send her.
We've changed the game. No minimums. Right.
That's where the difference is.
Because we're printing every day. We have 2 shifts printing shirts. We're worldwide. Actually, California is doing very well because they're a T-shirt mode all year. So I just send 2 dozen to California, and we do a lot of work. We're doing a shadow boat ride this year, T-shirts. So you'll be able to get those things on Send a Tea.
Now I know you way before all of that. My mentor, my older cousin, Kevin Robinson, and you ran together. So I was introduced, and then when I
was the one that did Mary J. Blige at the Palace.
Right. So when I got out of the being an artist stage, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, Kevin had his music company, Modern Music Man Productions or something like that.
Yeah, we had hooked up with Ozzie Davis, and we did stuff for the community.
Right, so we even had our P.O. box. It's just you have P.O. boxes too.
We have, and there's a video for that too on Facebook.
And it was just, that's when I was introduced to you, and you've been somebody, a stakeholder in the community for many years. And
that's right. I was the first and only black man on the New Rochelle Business Improvement District.
Oh, okay. So that is in that area.
I'm politically and connected in a lot of ways to New Rochelle mostly. But I had 4 stores: White Plains, Yonkers, Mount Vernon, all that. So.
Do you still have a store in Mount Vernon?
No.
Why
just
not?
New Rochelle. Mount Vernon for business is not the greatest.
I wanted somebody outside of Mount Vernon to say why they don't have a business in Mount Vernon. I knew the answer to the question, but
But that was my second store. So, and then Yonkers, Tuckahoe Road, around the corner.
David's laughing.
Well, it is what it is. I'm a businessman, so I'm going to go where the business is.
Right.
Exactly. And Don, man, I think what you just said is so important for people in Mount Vernon to understand. You said, I'm a businessman. I'm going to go where the business is. So imagine how many other businessmen are thinking the same way you are.
Oh, yeah. Ernie tried that with Sanford Boulevard. But, to say this, New Rochelle is up and coming, and, and certain things like that. I mean, a lot of you guys don't even know. I was a business manager for the Westchester Correction Guardians. I guess you would know that, right?
That's right.
I had 2 guys out. Yeah, I've been there with Ernie. What's the guy's name in the city? That's the senator now.
It was. Oh, you talking about Eric Adams?
Eric Adams. I go back with all those, putting all those guys together.
That's right. That's
Got awards from you guys, all that stuff.
That's right. That's right.
So it's pretty deep.
That's right. Yeah, Don Powell, man. Yeah, that's right. Oh, man, you brought back memories there,
I know. I don't talk about a lot of stuff. I donate. I give back. But, I'm in the background of most of the things. More people know my name than me.
Right.
Right. That's right.
So what do you have? Any future plans?
Yes, I do have something big coming, but I'm not going to put it on the air yet.
Okay.
I'm looking for vendors.
Okay.
Right now.
Right.
So if anyone is interested in being a vendor for the unannounced plan, they can.
Yeah. Our number is 914-636-0003. It's on the level of Portchester Flea Market. So, and 10,000 square foot.
Okay.
And anybody interested? It's going to be only on the weekends.
Okay.
You know, I just finished this 2 days ago, actually, so you'll be seeing it. I posted a vendor thing on Facebook, so serious vendors. Okay.
So now, just so everybody, before, like your flyer says, why send flowers or candy when you can send a tea? It lasts longer. Yeah. So, to find out more about Send a Tea, how would they? There's a site they go with.
sendatea.com. Okay. Don't forget the dashes. There's commercials on it. That was on Channel 12 for a while.
SEND send -a -TEE.com. Don't forget the dashes. It actually does say that. And where is where are you located, DP? Where?
3 Church Street, New Rochelle, New York.
Okay.
It's Church in Maine.
Yeah.
Around the corner from the Palace.
I can say, yeah. You know what? I would go down there now. I forget where it was now because it's like, it was always there. Now that it's not there, I'm like, wait, was it here? Like, I was the other day. I was trying to figure out when I dropped off the papers to your shop. Yeah. I was trying to figure out where the Palace, then Club Hollywood, which was Sam Zerka, where it used to be, because it's not there. It's not there no more at all. Like it's just a race from history, almost like.
But yeah, I just popped in to, for you and.
Oh no, I guarantee. But I wanted to give you, I wanted to give you a little, spotlight. A little community spotlight. We try to do a little community spotlights when we can.
Which is good.
Yeah. But anybody.
If you give me a 1 second,
okay,
I'm going to run something on here.
Hi, this is Don Powell. At SendATea.com, we've created a new category. Why send flowers or candy when you can send a tea? It'll last longer. T-shirts for all occasions. SendATea.com. Always free shipping. SendATea.com. Don't forget the dashes.
I don't know how well that went over.
Yeah. No, but I want to thank you for stopping through and keep doing what you're doing. And I can tell you, he does quality work. And if you want some stuff printed, he's that guy you need to go see. He's been there for years. Some printing places have come and go, and he's still there. So, holla at DP Printing and Graphics. Yes.
Absolutely.
Any last words, Damon?
Nah, brother, man. Wish you luck, man. And you're welcome anytime on the show, man. And we gotta hook up, man. I gotta introduce you to the new generation of Westchester Correction Association, brother.
Right, Al Carden.
Yeah, man. A matter of fact, man, Al was just in the hospital, and I think he's out now. He's back home, man.
So, and last thing I want to say, we did the business, spotlight, our black business spotlight. We need to support our black businesses, and that's we say our black businesses don't support the community. We need to support our black businesses so they can support the community and hire people in the community. They can spend their money in the community, but we need to keep our, he's talking about jobs. One of the greatest things to do for jobs is the local businesses that affect your community. They hire in your community, they spend in your community. It's those jobs sometimes do more for your community than some of these big corporations. We need to support our black businesses. And we did actually feature you in the issue. I think there's still some copies outside of last month's issue, so I got them. I don't think I dropped them off to you last month. But yes, I want to thank you for coming by. We're coming to the close of the show. We're gonna do our little wrap up. Now you know where we at. So yeah. Feel free to come through anytime. Any words going to the last words of the show, Dr. Bob? Any closing? I have to start earlier with y'all because then y'all have them conversations. I gotta cut y'all off at the end, so I gotta start earlier. Any last word? Anything you want to address that locally that you haven't had a chance to speak on yet?
I do want to extend condolences on the part of the Greater Westchester family and Black Westchester in particular, People Before Politics, on the news of several recent homicides in the city of Yonkers. This week I think Donna Nolan actually had posted comments that 3 homicides had occurred in the city during the past week or so. I went back and scoured through the headlines to try to, confirm for myself. I was just able to find 2, but the city was once again shocked by the death of Michael Federico, 42 years old, and then also the tragic story of the young lady Marilyn Cotto Munoz. I believe she was an 18-year-old who was shot to death in the head earlier this week, or last week, I'm sorry, in the city of Yonkers. And it once again just underscores to people across the nation the need for sort of more stringent gun control laws, perhaps, amongst other things.
That's something that Donna Nolan was definitely championing after the death of her son.
I also want to say this. Unfortunately, my heart weighs heavy as well with the news of the attack, the terrorist attack on a Jewish synagogue out in California yesterday. There has been some debate in the local public sphere in the city of Mount Vernon amongst engaged politicos about the threat that is posed by the rising tide of white nationalism. And I think, unfortunately, the latest headline reveals indeed, contrary to the belief of some, that there has been a measured increase in white militant violence here in the United States of America, and our law enforcement agencies are well advised to hold hearings and undertake investigations that seek to check this violence before it becomes, sort of unlooses a floodgate of violence, and that's the fear. That's what we're going to see. So,
David, last words. We got time because usually I ask you last words. You want to get into a long conversation.
First off, I think one of the comments on the thread was, I guess we were in our moments and she heard some cursing, and she wasn't too pleased with the cursing. I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm just going to say that's how we express on the show. So, if you want to listen to People Before Politics without the cursing, then tune in on WVOX. Sometimes we have conversations that we curse. That's the show. This is internet radio. I make no apologies about it. Neither does Dr. Bob or anybody else that comes on the show. So that's just the style of the show. So I'm just responding to that.
I saw the comment.
Yeah. So I just wanted to make that clear. And following Dr. Bob on the killings that were in Yonkers and the young girl that got shot. Condolences to our sister Nicole, who's a friend of the show, on her son passing a couple of days ago.
Right.
And Nicole Jones,
right.
Her son passing a couple of days ago. Also, man, I think down the line, I think we need to really also talk about health in the Black community.
Yes.
And what we eat, how we eat, and how we manage our health. I think I think in the Black community it's a public safety issue. Even how our diets reflect on the actions of our children. So I think down the road we want to have these conversations about different issues in the Black community. I think one thing is our diet, and because a lot of people don't know. My mother just recently had her lower right leg amputated because of diabetes, and to go through that process and then understand that all that could have been avoided and reversed just by changing your diet.
That is so true. I'm into the alkaline water. I've been drinking that for about 10 years. It's very healthy. People should look into that.
Yeah, I've been told about that. I want to just say, so I haven't fully done it yet. I'm trying. I'm looking it up. I'm researching the and Damon brought some of this to my attention. A more plant-based diet and the effects of it, the results of your health and everything. I'm researching it first because you got to know what you're doing first and everything, what it includes and what the benefits are.
Because what goes in,
right,
what controls your body.
Right, and I'm going to, when I do it, when we get to that point, I'm going to do it, and I'm gonna kind of do a live diary on the air. Like I'm just going to talk about what I'm eating and what the effects I've had and how I felt, and we're going and I'm going to take you through the journey with me. It might be a month or so before we get it started and stuff. I've been researching a lot of the stuff, and it disturbed me on some of the stuff. A lot of what we do to our bodies is from what we eat, and
of course.
And I'm guilty.
We all are.
I'm very guilty personally. So I don't know if I'm going to have a full plant-based diet, but I'm going to transition into more of a plant-based diet at this point. Damon was going all plant-based.
Let me tell you something. One thing you have to do is go on YouTube, type in "How Not to Die," Dr. Michael Greger, and then go on Netflix and watch the documentary.
What the Health?
What the Health? If you don't stop eating meat, if you don't stop eating chicken, if you really care about your body and care about, especially black people, man, we our diet just kills us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we make a lot of excuses on continuing eating slave food, which we call soul food, right? And we make excuses about this. But we're the ones that are a high percentage with diabetes. We're the ones that high percentage of hypertension. We're the ones that with the high percentage of high cholesterol, right? We're the ones with the high percentage of all these diseases.
I think my thing was I did everything in moderation. And, I'm in my 60s now. But the alkaline water, I don't know. I kind of believe in it. That's why I'm stressing.
No, that's part of it, man.
That is part of it. That is part of it. But I'm researching everything. Like I said, I'm not one to just jump off a cliff just because everybody. I'm researching it. Damon showed me a lot of stuff and making some compelling arguments. I've already took certain steps. You know what I'm saying? I have to make it's an adjustment. I'm going to take the journey live on the air, and I'm going to show y'all. This is what I'm doing now, and this is the effects. This is what I'm doing now, and this is the effects. And then I'm gonna take y'all on the journey with me. That's
I'm not into it religiously, but I haven't had pork since junior high school. So
right.
That was one of my main things. I was in a class. Somebody asked me about that today, and I saw the trichinosis. Although some people eat it, it's got to be cooked properly. But I just stayed away from that. Every now and then you stray, but I love burgers.
Right. Well, I've cut pork down considerably, and I'm cutting down on beef, and I'm just starting to get used to that. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make that transition right now, and I've been doing a lot more vegetables and fruits and salads and the whole nine. So I've been doing that, and I can see the results of that. So I'm going to be making this adjustment, like I said, and I'm going to share it. I'm going to share it online, and I'm going to take y'all on the journey with me, and y'all going to see it. So.
I just came back from Florida. My mom, she's 94.
Wow.
Last 6 months, dementia kicked in. She was living by herself until then. So my sister, we put her in one of those, senior living now they call it. Mm-hmm. And 94. So I got some good genes to look forward to, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to say one more thing. I want to read these comments. Something Damon and I talked about. This is something my mom passed in 2014. I want to do a series of articles on senior living. We both have our moms was in the rehabs and doing in and out the hospital and the care for seniors, and there's a lot of things that a lot of people our age now, we have parents that are, if they have either been in some sort of rehab or something, have gone back and forth to the hospital, or are dealing with that now. We're caregivers for our parents. So I want to start doing it. It was important when my mom died in 2014, but it was very I was dealing with the loss and I never got into it. And now that, you know, Damon's the caregiver now for his mom, it's something we want to incorporate in Black Westchester. Real close, a couple of comments real quick. Cicely Grieve said, been animal-free for 6 years. It also affects the mind. Ken Bright said, alkaline is also the key. Tracy K said, it's the way you eat and also exercise is the key as well. Cicely said, research, Damon. Tracy K said, please also keep in mind, meat also provides protein, so you need to supplement that.
Yes.
And Damon just said, thank you to Nas. So,
hey, AJ, I just want to quickly
real quick, because go ahead.
Yeah, to Tracy, if you research it, you'll find out that meat has no protein, right? Meat, cows eat plants. Cows are a plant-based diet animal. So the protein that they're getting are from greens. So that's like eating meat is like the middleman, right? You're going to cut out the middleman and go straight to the greens and the beans and all that. So that has been a myth started by the meat company, right? That has been a marketing tool for the meat company to say that you need meat for protein. Gorillas are one of the strongest muscle animals, and they don't eat meat.
True.
And they don't eat meat. So that's a myth. That's something we have to talk about because we have to demystify these myths that corporations. Remember, we're fighting against big corporations, the milk industry, the beef industry, the chicken industry, and they have lobbyists and they put these things out for us to believe. And that's one of the biggest. Once you start researching, you find out that just getting meat with protein is one of the biggest myths that was ever told by industry.
And also the pharmaceutical companies, don't forget that.
Right.
So we're gonna we're closing the show now. We're coming to the end of the show, but we're definitely over the next couple of weeks, we're gonna be next 2 months we're gonna be dealing with interviews with all the candidates and all the different races across the county. Once we get past the July 25th primary, we're gonna be dealing with some of these topics: senior living. We're gonna be dealing with the plant-based diet, more of the health thing. We're gonna have some nutritionists, some experts in the field come in, and we're gonna try to educate. But I'm gonna get educated as well. We're gonna educate ourselves together on this whole process, and it's up to you. You make up your own mind what's good for you. But I'm going to be transitioning at some point to that, and I'm going to be doing it on the air. So I'm going to be, you're going to go take the journey with me and see how I'm doing in the whole nine. With that said, we wanted to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank the Senator Alessandra Biaggi for taking the time to come through. I know for sure she will be back. And she'll have a lot to say about what's going on. We were extending that invitation to Senator Jamal Bailey, so he would come through and talk to our community on what's going on. We're dealing with some police issues. What is the show on the 5th? What is Damon? Real quick, the 5th.
Famed civil rights attorney Norman Siegel will be the guest of once a month. We're going to have the Grand Council of Guardians Chairman Charles Billups. We're changing it up, get some New York City flavor to come up, and we're having Norman Siegel, his famed civil rights attorney. He was also elected public advocate a while ago. He will be the guest. We're going to talk about New York City elections. We're going to talk about whatever's going on in the state, and I think it's going to be a great show, man. It's going to be a great show.
Absolutely. And with that said, you could be doing anything else, but you decided to ride with us, and we greatly, greatly appreciate it. This is Black Westchester Presents, the People Before Politics radio show, 6 to 8 every Sunday on InTheMixRadio.com, where we give you that real talk for the community since 2014. And to piggyback off what Damon says, when you listen to People Before Politics, that's what you get, real talk for the community. Sometimes it's a little passionate, and sometimes some other words might come out, but we're always going to give you the real talk for the community since 2014. That's what we do. Until next week, peace.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.